Sometimes you see that I'm mad, but I'm just a soul who's intent.
Who the fuck are you?
Me?
This story revolves around Hutch Mansell, a middle-aged man who serves as the patriarch of his family, comprising his wife and 2 children. Hutch occupies a position in the administrative department of his father-in-law's company. His days pass by in a monotonous routine, devoid of any excitement.
Come on! Fuck!
One night, their home was visited by 2 thieves. Hutch caught them, but for some reason, he let them take a small amount of change.
Put the phone down. Your money. Cash.
That's about all there is.
Hutch's eldest son managed to ambush one of the thieves. While the other thief was distracted, Hutch was holding a golf club and intended to hit him. But what happened? Instead, Hutch asked his son to let the thief go and let them both escape.
What the fuck, Dad?
After the incident, his eldest son felt very disappointed with Hutch's actions. Plus, the attitude of the police, who seemed to show disappointment in the father figure, made him even more doubtful of Hutch's role as a father and protector of the family. Only the youngest seemed unaffected.
In the golf club? Did you even take a swing? You scared?
Why would I be? You're here.
The next-door neighbor also gave a strong insinuation. He said that if his house was burglarized, he would certainly not remain silent and would teach the thieves a little lesson. All this was enough to make Hutch feel depressed.
Could have used the exercise.
At work, Hutch also had to get unpleasant treatment when his wife's younger brother regretted the incident last night and gave a gun to Hutch just in case.
Yeah, how's that working out for you?
Everybody's safe, so...
Jesus!
So, keep my sister safe, bro.
This was Hutch's father-in-law, who also owned the company where Hutch worked. His name was Eddie Williams. Eddie was considering selling his company due to his advancing age and intention to retire. However, since the price wasn't right, Hutch was asked to reconsider it amidst his busy schedule. Interestingly, Hutch had a special radio in his office. He often spoke to someone who seemed to be an old friend. This raised mysterious questions about Hutch's true identity. Hutch's conversation with the person on the radio finally revealed an interesting fact. The reason why he didn't fight back that night was because he already knew details about the 2 thieves. They were a couple who were most likely experiencing financial problems. If they were professional thieves, there was no way they would have stolen only a small amount of change. Most interestingly, the gun they used that night was completely unloaded. That's a strong reason why Hutch didn't put up a fight.
Seriously.
Now I know why you didn't do what you didn't do.
After returning from work, Hutch went to a nursing home to visit his elderly father. His father could only sit on the sofa while watching videos on the television.
Do you remember who he used to be, Hutchie? I do.
When Hutch returned home, he stood in front of his house and observed his own family. He felt quite disappointed with himself for failing to be a protective figure for his family. All of this was enough to make Hutch feel useless. When Hutch entered the house, his wife and son were still indifferent towards him. However, when the younger child complained about his missing dog collar that was probably taken by the 2 thieves the previous night, Hutch became really emotional. Hutch quickly returned to the nursing home where his father lived, where he retrieved a gun he kept there. With a clue, the tattoo on the thief's arm that he saw that night, Hutch planned to find the 2 thieves and retrieve his son's dog collar. After visiting several tattoo parlors, Hutch arrived at a place that had been around for decades. The place was filled with people who were not ordinary, and Hutch's arrival, there was enough to attract the attention of these people. However, what was interesting was when one of the visitors saw the tattoo on Hutch's arm. He was immediately surprised and thanked him for his service.
Thank you for your service.
As he entered his room and locked the door tightly, the people began to change their attitude and were happy to help him.
Send me in the direction of this person.
Without wasting any time, Hutch was already at the residence of the two thieves. Hutch appeared as Baba Yaga Aka, the boogeyman, and immediately asked for his son's dog collar back. However, when he was about to do more than that, the action suddenly stopped when he saw the baby of the two thieves crying. Hutch became upset himself and banged on the wall until his hands bled. And here he is now, sitting on the bus heading home with all the upset feelings he failed to vent. However, a lucky break happened when a group of drunken youths boarded the bus.
Whether I'm wrong, whether I belong, I've gotta be.
This made Hutch smile because he finally got an easy target to vent his emotions on. When the passengers were frightened by the arrival of the group of drunks, Hutch casually walked past them. Then he invited the driver to get out. Then Ray entered the bus and locked the door tightly. So, what would Hutch do? He was going to beat them all up. It was a 1-on-5 fight. The big, tall young man versus the skinny Hutch, who brutally beat them all up. The scene was quite realistically rendered, and it was an adrenaline rush. At this point, it was clear that Hutch was a nobody but not a random guy. At home, his wife was initially surprised by the number of wounds on Hutch's body. His wife immediately treated Hutch wholeheartedly and accompanied him until he fell asleep. Meanwhile, the scene moves to another place where we will see someone like a Mafia named Julian, or commonly called Yuli. Yuli is seen dancing and singing in a nightclub that is quite crowded that night. Yuli himself is a Russian mobster who owns a money storage business. His fellow mobsters entrust all their money in Yuli's storage. While they were with Yuli, he was reprimanded by his colleagues for his ungainly behavior when dancing and singing in public. His attitude was deemed to have undermined the trust of most of them, as it showed a lack of authority and respect in Yuli. However, what did Yuli do? He suddenly broke a glass, then attacked one of the patrons, then slit his throat right in front of his colleagues. That's enough to prove that Yuli is a dangerous person. Shortly after, Yuli received a call that his brother was being hospitalized. His brother turned out to be one of the victims of Hutch during the incident on the bus the previous night. Because of this, Yuli was furious and tried to interrogate each of his brother's friends about the perpetrator who had beaten his brother.
Who did this to my brother?
He attacked us unprovoked.
One man! Are you fucking with me?
No, sir.
Don't you lie to me?
One of his brother's friends managed to get Hutch's work identity card. The next morning, Hutch seemed to have recovered and soon received a phone call from a friend who used to accompany him on the radio. His friend warned him that one of the people Hutch beat up the previous night was a family member of a Russian mobster, Yuli. To find information about Yuli, Hutch went to a barber shop where there was someone quite important. At first glance, it could already be guessed that the person was most likely from an agency that had hired Hutch in the past.
He's as bad as they come. I said he's more than a bit. But what I do know is
After seeing the documents about Yuli, Hutch didn't regret what he did the previous night and was ready to face every risk for his actions. Yuli himself gave Hutch's work identity card to his staff. The staff told someone from the government or Pentagon to track down the address and everything about Hutch.
What?
The staff was shocked to find out that Hutch was a very dangerous person. Some photos showed Hutch's past achievements. So much so, the staffer decided to stay out of it and resign from his job on the spot.
I'm out, no need to pay.
Why you much?
While Hutch's family was eating dinner, unexpectedly, Yuli moved faster. He sent some of his troops to Hutch's home address to eliminate Hutch and his entire family. Quickly, Hutch asked them to enter the basement. They were all confused and shocked to find out that their basement all this time turned out to have quite sophisticated technology. When his family was confused by all this, Hutch asked them all to stay calm and not call 911.
Don't call 911.
When Yuli's troops came in, I was reminded of the movie John Wick when his house was visited by some troops sent by the Russian Mafia named Vigo. Now, I'm even more curious about what Hutch will do to these Yuli troops. Interesting facts show that Hutch has a brutal soul twice, as sadistic as John Wick. He managed to slaughter most of Yuli's troops so madly, even though he finally had to be caught because he was electrocuted from behind. For those who haven't watched the John Wick storyline, I have included a video link in the description. Okay, onto Hutch's story. However, it is not Hutch's style if he can be caught so easily. Because while on the way, Hutch could release the handcuffs quite easily and make their car roll over, which left the 3 troops dead. Hutch returned home and cleaned up. He calmly brought his wife and child out and saw so many bodies scattered around. Then, he told them to go to a safe place until the situation was completely conducive. Still confused about what happened, his wife asked about what happened. However, Hutch asked her to trust and believe that the situation would be conducive again.
But I need you to trust me right now.
Come back.
After his wife and son went to a safe place, Hutch opened the box containing his gold bars, which was the remaining treasure from his past work.
I see tree roses too in you, and I white the bright.
Meanwhile, his father, who was in the nursing home, was visited by 2 of Yuli's men who intended to kill him according to Yuli's orders. You will be really surprised when you see that the 2 messengers are completely helpless against Hutch's elderly father. Apparently, he is more dangerous than imagined. After Hutch blew up the house with all the bodies of Yuli's troops, he went to his father-in-law to buy the company he worked for with the gold bars he had brought. His brother-in-law rejected the deal and was about to hit him. However, Hutch, who already didn't care, quickly hit his brother-in-law's stomach, which caused him a lot of pain.
Okay, sit down.
On the other hand, Yuli was quite surprised to find out that all of his troops were killed.
A suspicious car accident last night on Route 34.
Plus, one of the members of his troops was his favorite assistant. Just like Vigo, who had dealt with the wrong person, namely John Wick, Yuli also mobilized all his troops just to catch one person, namely Hutch.
Собери всех бойцов.
Hutch himself was seen preparing a plan for all of this. He intended to wage war on Yuli after learning that Yuli had dared to send troops to kill his family without hesitation and without any fear. Hutch also went to Yuli's money storage where he casually slaughtered dozens of armed troops there. Not only that, Hutch burned all the money belonging to Yuli's colleagues, which would certainly make Yuli responsible for the loss of all their money.
Break free of history. This train is racing straight ahead. No man can do like I can. I'm the queen of the land. Haters gonna hate. Won't be sorry now. Shoot me down, but I'll rise again. I'm laying down the law and you've been served. For my 1 billion by billion, been holding up half the sky.
This showed that Hutch had done worse than this in the past. The craziest thing of all was that after Hutch destroyed Yuli's business, he boldly came alone to Yuli's club. People could see him enjoying his meal without any fear of Yuli and his army. However, behind all the crazy and reckless actions, Hutch had a brilliant idea when he brought an explosive right on the table that made Yuli ask everyone to get out of there. Without much ado, Hutch immediately revealed his purpose for coming here, where he offered an amicable deal to no longer pursue him and his family. Hutch said that he had burned all of Yuli's money and business. Hutch suggested that Yuli quit his Mafia job and become a new, better person.
I burned it, all of it, everything you have.
I'm shocked!
When Hutch came out and was about to leave, Yuli preferred to die rather than reconcile with his offer. Then a car chase ensued. As a result, hundreds of bullets were shot at Hutch's car. And when it arrived right in front of the company he had bought, Hutch was suddenly helped by the person who shot from above, who turned out to be a person who often spoke on the radio, as well as his father's adopted son, who was considered his own brother by Hutch. This man was named Harry. However, it wasn't a surprise because suddenly Hutch's father, who was ready with his shotgun, was also ready to help Hutch. They both planned to help Hutch finish off these evil Russian mobsters. Meanwhile, Harry was seen fighting in close quarters after Yuli managed to get inside and made an incredible shot when 3 people were killed with just 1 shot fired by him. However, Hutch was the most brutal at the moment, as he used a rat trap to make a small explosive. Then when the men were surprised, Hutch quickly shot them at close range, and then took a gun from the refrigerator and finished off the others with the crowbar shot he had made. Finally, when the 3 of them got together, that's when the past seemed to repeat itself. The 3 of them are a family that is very feared because they have a profession that is quite terrible in the past. After all of his troops were killed, Yuli was left alive where he managed to shoot Harry in the shoulder, which left the 3 of them pressed. Don't think this is a dramatic scene that will end sadly, because with Hutch's madness and brutality, Hutch also attached an explosive mine to the bulletproof door. He then got as close to Yuli as he could and detonated the mine right underneath Yuli, killing him in a horrible condition. After all this was over, Hutch was captured and interrogated by 2 policemen. They were both shocked by the hundreds of human remains at the site and couldn't believe that Hutch had done it all by himself. Soon, one of the policemen got a phone call, followed by the other where they got a call from the same person who seemed to be very important.
Yeah. Yeah, what?
Sometimes you're strong, just a soul.